So a sense of welcoming and gathering. This this time, this place, this experience, the gathering here and now. And yet this is every time, every place, this gathering, this connection, and the body is the experience. Receiving this experience of the whole of it. Receiving this openness, the experience of it. However it is, in this body, and gift, the gift of this experience, of giving the gift of life to it, and giving attention. It's giving of attention. There's not an expectation or a hope or a fear or a regret. Or if there is, then that's also accepted. This is what we've got now and here. And the release. The release. See how breath is released. In breath received. The rhythm experienced. And the gift of attention. Knowing this neutrality, the steadiness, and the sensitivity. The effect of the suggestions offered, received, and the sensitivity of the body and the stillness not held, stillness released. The openness in the gift of attention without expectation, extra added. The space and the silence and the knowing known. Space and the silence and the sensitivity. We give and welcome and gather. Yes. This time and this space. Feel connection, the knowing, that allows experience. Alive. The whole of the breath, the whole of the body breathing. And the rhythm and the knowing. Received and released. reconnecting with life and the well-wishing that life is. Or sensitivity and the response is as it is. However complicated it can seem, is this much sensitivity and response, and the gathered energy in this time, this space, this now, this here. This what can we do in giving life to life? Giving this much, this stillness, and this sensitivity. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang dhammang sanghang namasami. There's something about acknowledging the Lord Buddha acknowledging what that means in this experience, and the gratitude that I experience when in that recollection. The is a way of connecting to an assumption that there is something that can be learned. There are beings that will give the opportunity and that have themselves realized. And that there is such a possibility, is a direction. And then the experience of this limitation, of this thing, this inherent, uncontrollable experience that's shifting and changing, and what do I want to do with this? What am I supposed to do? And I hope that there is that support is great. So that how to deal with the stresses and strains of life, and and I do feel a bit strange because I got stresses and strains, and so I don't suppose that life is any different within this form to anybody else's form, but this is just stresses and strains, and I've spoken before about where do you want to live. What what moves you in a way that will give some sense of growth or maturity or growing up, or allow the possibility of that. And I reflect on the dwelling places of the gods, the Brahma Viharas, and figure that if you're going to live anywhere, you might as well make that your dwelling place. That it's the best part of town. It's the location that is closest to um, you know, valuable real estate. I believe there's this is a way of talking about where you want to live and how you want to live. The Brahma Viharas are good enough, and certainly, it's the reflection that I have is that without them, there's no possibility for humans basically to grow, because the human infant requires a sense of acceptance in order to survive. It requires some kindness that will um, uh, do what it can to reduce suffering now and in the future. It requires some sort of appreciation, and it requires the opportunity to live its own life. These are the basis of metta, karuna, mudita, upekkha, because the basic acceptance of a child is necessary. basic support to do something that will help relieve suffering now and in the future. The basic sense of being appreciated, and also itself appreciating goodness and striving towards it, and also the sense of just being allowed to get on with it. And which is what Upekkha is about. Upekkha is about accepting limitation. Upekkha is the steadiness. It's in the, there's different ways of, I just recently figured out that there are different ways of describing this sense of steadiness among all the diversity and the ups and downs of life. And that's one type of upekkha that is like able to receive all the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, all the winds of the world, the gain, the loss, the happiness, the suffering, the praise, the brain, the sense of being famous, and the sense of being vilified. There's an upekkha that can dwell in that diversity, and that's maybe a bit sort of rigid or strong. And then maybe there's the other upekkha, which is more, one can almost say laid back, but also more sensitive, that oversees and accepts the limitation of, that this is how it is. I'm not going to make a problem about things, but I will be sensitive and respond. Ajahn Buddhadasa used to talk about that as upekkha, that which oversees the other three Brahma Viharas. It's the emotional response, the motivation that allows the sense of steadiness to be there, and then respond in the ways that are appropriate. And the best way to respond, of course, is to notice what's beautiful and what encourages and what's joyous, and that's mudita. Mudita is appreciating the beautiful, appreciating the lovely, and where possible, allowing that to encourage the heart. It brings with it, of course, a sense of gratitude because of the possibility of appreciating something, and that's why the traditional story goes that if mudita is developed and there's no other further insight, then the rebirth is in the realm of infinite consciousness, because consciousness is what makes things present and gives the possibility of experience of joy. And so that's mudita, and that's the preferred response. If you're going to be active from a sense of upekkha, which is in itself active and sensitive, then that's the preferred response. Notice what's good around and allow that to bring joy and encourage one to emulate and rise up to it. And this is it's a sign of maturity, because I was thinking also about the whole thing about teaching and recognizing that in the end, I don't think anything can be taught. I don't think teachers teach. I think what teachers can do is provide opportunities for their pupils to learn themselves. If teachers think that they teach, then they're always going to be disappointed, because nobody's going to learn the lesson. The students are going to learn whatever lesson they're going to learn because they want to learn it. And we learn what we find, and what we find and go towards and think, well, that's lovely, I want to try that. I want to figure out that. And I think that's true for all pupils. Certainly true for me. I'm happy to figure out something that I'm interested in, and I'm interested because I find some joy in it. If I don't find some joy in it, then I'm not going to figure it. So that's the That's there's a motivation for know, uh, maturity, growing in maturity, and obviously, if it's not working, then there's the next step down is, of course, compassion, and that's where we have to find some way of making some structures, putting some some boundaries in, putting some limitations in, putting uh, some way of protecting in, some way of directing in, um, some way of making some space, mental, physical, emotional um, uh, ideas or regulations, or just physical structures, or just doing something. Because compassion is about doing something that reduces suffering now and in the present. Now in the present, and also in the and for the future. So the supreme compassion was the compassion of the Lord Buddha, because he gave both a way of structuring thought and ideas, the Dhamma, and a training of Vinaya, which you have to undertake yourself. And so the Buddha couldn't, he could provide ways that people could train themselves. That's what he could do. He couldn't force anybody to do it. And similarly, and he was the supreme teacher, supreme guide. But the person, or the being, has to want to do it themselves to actually get some good results. And they'll do it if they feel inspired and have some mudita, some joy. So, so this is, and to figure that within one's own life, so that one feels a connection with that which is good and beautiful within this moment. And then where's that, so that there is the willingness to give some structure, to train, to do something, both in the way that one thinks and in the way that one acts and speaks, because that's that's what one has to figure out what to do. And then, so that's the practice of compassion, and where that's possible, that's what one can practice, and it requires wisdom. It requires wisdom, because just doing something, if you think it's going to reduce suffering, maybe it doesn't. If you put a poultice on something and it doesn't actually reduce the pain, then it's possibly a good idea to take it off. Or if you take the wrong medicine, or you take too much of the wrong medicine, or you use the medicine in the wrong way, it's not going to work. And if you don't use a tool in the right way, then you can also damage yourself or damage others. And it requires wisdom to reduce suffering now and in the present. And the way that one relates to this, that's what teachers can do, is can offer ways that people can work with to reduce suffering now and in the present. But they have to do it themselves. They have to work it out themselves. In the end, as you get more adult, for young kids, then yes, you maybe need to set the boundaries. Don't do this, do your homework. But as you begin to grow up, you have to learn how to train yourself. And this is something that we have the opportunity to do as we grow up. And then the final thing is never rejecting anything, never pushing anything aside. The sense of being open, which goes back, this is my metta and upekkha. Don't get them too confused, but there's something about the acceptance of both that is interesting. because the metta is a sense of complete acceptance of however difficult or confused or ugly something is. There's no rejection of it. It's not, the way that Ajahn Sumedha calls it is not dwelling in aversion. And when I found out that one of the ways of practicing samasankappa, which is right thought, and thought is the way that we direct our intention, is, and that's the second of the Eightfold Path, and the second aspect of wisdom after samadhi. One of the aspects of right thought is not dwelling in hatred, not pushing a sense of hatred. And so when there's that, the being that most needs your metta, and this is from the suttas, the being that most requires your metta and the most deserves your metta is the one that you dwell with all the time. It's this one. This is the one that that most needs. It's a complete acceptance, because this is, it's difficult enough being this separate being in this separate body with these funny ideas about stuff and this strange set of emotions and all the rest of it, and habitual stuff. If there's just a lot of hatred for it, then that just really gums up the works and makes it really much worse. So, that this, in a moment of metta is really, really, really helpful. So do connect with that when you can. For this one, then worry about the others later. They'll figure it out. And this, in the wild and confusing world that we live in, the sense of this one, I'm not going to dwell in aversion for, and I'll do what I can to allow it to suffer less now and in the future, because I can practice compassion for this one, recognizing that this one is I don't have much control of it, because it's got its own agenda in many ways, but I can at least do some things that would allow it to suffer less now and in the future. And I can train this thing, train the way that it thinks, train the way that it moves the body, train the way that it works emotionally, and train the way that it considers things, so that it's the the practices of right view. You got this, something that can be done. This can be practiced within what it is right now, within all the sense of confusion and stress of this moment. This is what I can do. In some cases, there'll be a need to protect, because that's what this body needs. That's what these emotions need. And in going to situations where there's a lot of toxic stuff around, physically, you make sure that you protect yourself. If you're going to go to Chernobyl and walk among the radioactive stuff, then wear a good radioactive protecting suit and don't go disturbing the ground. And similarly, if you go to situations that are toxic, and then make sure that you go in with a sense of protection, and so that will actually allow you to increase your sensitivity. Sometimes protecting yourself can increase your sensitivity. As you know, there's no such, I think the Swedish and the Norwegians say there's no such thing as bad weather. There's just the incorrect clothing. It's it's a way of of reflecting that, if you're not properly prepared for something, then it's going to be more difficult. But if you prepare yourself in the right way, you'll be okay. It's not. There's no such thing as bad weather. There's only the wrong clothing. It's it's if you're, and then you can work and do things with a sense of sensitivity. And so if you find the situations you're in toxic or terrible, then figure out how to protect yourself. Well, I don't know. That'll be something that you'll find out through noticing how other people do it, and then finding some joy in that. That'll be your expression of mudita, and then figuring out what to do, how to act in ways that are less suffering for yourself now and in the future. And that's your living in a place of compassion and coming from a sense of, well, I can do this. And this is where generosity is so important. You can give to this situation. You can give attention. You can really notice this is what's happening. And then the response can be something that comes from a sense of steadiness and overview. It comes from a sense of upekkha. It comes from a sense of knowing one's limitation, knowing the limitation. This is what can happen here. The Buddha was supremely equanimous. And when we think of his life, he couldn't teach everybody, and he was a supreme teacher. He couldn't solve everybody's problems. He couldn't give everybody what they wanted. No, even his own clan was wiped out in his lifetime. His two great disciples died before he did, and his response was in the assembly of many, many disciples. The assembly seems empty now. My two chief disciples are gone. But isn't it wonderful? There is no grief in the heart of the Tathagata. And that sense of not getting caught up with the sense of, just recognizing the place seems empty, but not getting caught up and not making more of it. And then the servant of the Buddha, Ajahn Buddhadasa's comment, which is something that I come back to. I don't know how he said it in Thai, but the way that it's been translated is joy at last to know there is no happiness in the world. So, puts things in supreme perspective. You're not going to look for something where you can't find it, but you're going to realize that it's fine like this. There is the possibility to practice. There is that which can be appreciated. There is that sense of it's okay to aspire. But I'm not going to look too far in the old place, the wrong place. It's okay. It's not that there's no enjoyment, there's no appreciation, but we're not going to give too much value to things that aren't going to ultimately satisfy us. Because this is what we've got, and the thing is uncertain. And it's out of control. But it's okay. It's okay. We can practice. We can give the Dhamma in this moment to this being by the practice of the Eightfold Path. We can receive the Dhamma because everything is teaching us. There's the possibility of that every moment. And that's a breath. It's an in-breath and an out-breath. That's the fact that there is sensitivity and there is the possibility of responding to this sensitivity. There's the possibility of release. That's where we can untangle the complications in this moment and rest in a sense of this breath, this moment, this gift of life to life. So if that's helpful, then this is what you can either do or not do. It's offered. And I'm sure that bits of it are completely nonsensical, but maybe some parts of it might have some value. Thank you for listening. And if you have questions that you want to type, well, then type them, cut and paste. For a while, we'll see what we can do. Okay, can you give some demonstration or example of how to conduct meditation contemplating the body? That's the 4 elements. I'm not sure how to do that. How can Ajahn offer a metta meditation sometime? Thank you. Guided metta meditation. I think it's already recorded somewhere. I know it's not my responsibility to make my parents happy. However, when I don't do something they want me to do and that causes their disappointment, I still feel I'm a bad daughter. What should I do? Be happy being a bad daughter? This is all I can. It's not wrong to feel you're a bad daughter. It's whatever the mother speaks, it's always not in tune with Dhamma. Should I or should I not point this out to her, even if I already know that she won't be able to accept that? Quiet is all right. Quiet is all right. The best thing you learn from is actually probably example. And if but you can put limits on how much you're prepared to listen to what she's saying by going quiet and not responding. That you can do. And as far as not doing what they want and then feeling bad about it, if there's a good reason for not doing what they want, then that's the way that it is. And you can still really do appreciate their goodness. Oh, I can't find anything that I think is very good. I do appreciate that they have done their best. No, don't dwell in hatred. It doesn't do you any good. And certainly never expect them to make you happy, because them wanting to make you wanting them to make you happy is the same as you feel about they wanting you to make them happy. You feel pressurized and you feel that you're bad. Don't expect them to make you happy. And don't give them any suggestion that you're not happy with them exactly as they are. You can deal with them exactly as they are. If they're not actually trying to kill you or be toxic to you, then you can deal with them exactly as they are. That's your responsibility, and that's your practice of metta. You can't practice any compassion because you don't know what to do. Yeah? But you can practice metta, not dwelling in aversion to them. Now, I want to hear all the good things they've ever done in their life from you. Not all the times you feel terrible about them. Homework. It's but no, not to feel that you don't need to feel guilty about it, but just recognize that they were doing the best that they can when they can, and they just do the best that they can. It's not, no, enlightened beings don't have many kids. So, it's, you got kids, it's probably because somewhere along the way, a bit of a mistake happened. um, Sorry to be rude to all the parents of the world, but there are other, people also make mistakes who don't have kids. So I'm not saying that not having kids is a sign of enlightenment. That's confusing cause and effect. But anyway, I haven't offered a guided meditation for ages. Maybe if I teach a retreat sometime in Italy, then I might do one. And there's a possibility that retreat might be on Zoom, but I'm not sure. Meditation, contemplating the bodies, the four elements, is not something that I've been keen on. I'm not probably the best person for that. Better go to a park side or teacher, because they do that quite a lot. Park side or do this, four elements, earth, water, fire, and air. The book that is, that I recommend about that, as you know, is that the Buddha's teaching is essential meaning. Maitre Muni's description of the four elements is about as best as I can do with that. I don't tend to use the earth, water, fire. Can you please guide us on the proper way of practicing meditation on death, the different stages of disintegration of the body? Especially, you better find a body for that. It's okay. You actually probably need a body for that. It doesn't need to be human. Don't worry. I'm not suggesting you go out and murder somewhere. You can use almost any body. It's something that people do. And it's more difficult to do it visually without the actual thing in front of you, because the thing about bodies as they start to decline is they do stink. They really do stink. And they're surprisingly active. They're surprisingly full of movement, because the body form gets full of all sorts of gases as it decays, and then all sorts of breakdowns. And then that's before the maggots get in. And then they make the whole thing move. So it's a surprisingly alive thing, a dead body, after a while. And then I suppose it goes through other phases. But yeah, it's full on, this body. I mean, you can actually, just, meditation on the death and the body. You actually do need a body for that, probably. During the meditation, while noticing the performance, what is the instruction regard? You notice the the origin of the defilements, where they come from. You notice their properties. You notice what attracts you to them. You notice the danger of them, and you figure out how to escape from them. That's the relationship. Those are the five things that you need to do with the defilements. It's true of anything, but these, particularly for the defilements in the mind, you figure out, where does this come from? What has fed this? Why is it my mind going into this? Why is it? What's that? What triggered this? And how does it actually experience right now? How is it actually experiencing right now? And why does it want to persist? What am I getting out of this? And what's the danger of this? If I keep adding to this, then how do I escape? How is there an escape from this? This, when the defilement comes up, and if there's just that much, will really change the relationship to it. And you turn it into a Dhamma, and that's something that you can work with, because you've got then the possibility of working at it from the idea of from the practice of enlightenment, rather than I hate this defilement, which is going to just make it worse. No, and because nothing gets you reborn faster than hatred. That's what Ajahn Vajiro said once. Yeah, what should do one noticing them? Okay, so I've given you the five steps of this. Where does it come from? What is proper? What is it actually? What's the actual experience of it? What is it that makes you want to go into that? What's the danger of it, and how can I escape? And that you have to figure out. This is something that can't really be taught. You can teach the sort of theory of it, but it actually has to be something that you learn for yourself. This is what maturity is about, is when you're prepared to learn for yourself. Okay, so